Hello, everyone. We just completed day one of the Future Directions in Choline Symposia. I'm here with three guests. Of course, I've got Tom Druth, my co-host, trusty co-host. I've also got Susan Smith, who's the Deputy Director of the University of North Carolina Nutrition Research Institute. Quite a title.
It's a mouthful.
It is. And I've got Dr. Joe McFadden from Cornell University, and our audience is obviously well familiar with you, Joe. What I'd like to ask you guys do, and Susan, I'm going to start with you first, kind of give us a 30,000-foot overview of day one. And just kind of remind everybody, day one, we were taking a look at choline's use in prenatal nutrition and childhood nutrition. So what were some of the big takeaways for you?
Yeah, we had an exciting day of presentations, and it was nice to see how far the field has come since we've had the last interactions to look at the data. And what's coming out is this reoccurring message that choline is so important in prenatal health and in early postnatal periods. One of the messages is that pregnant women and women who are lactating generally don't take enough choline. Only 10% of pregnant women are hitting those targets, and the same thing for lactation. I was struck by a discovery or discussion that, in fact, pregnancy and lactation can make a woman choline deficient. That further emphasizes her needs. And then we saw a lot of data about why is this important, and talked about the cognitive importance for healthy brain development in the fetus and in the infant. And a lot of very compelling data in human studies showing how choline status really improves the various cognitive functions in the child.
Yeah, well said.
I actually think one of the fascinating things that I took away is that it was really first deemed essential because of its essentiality in liver function. But when you look at the cognitive and the prenatal aspects, it may be that we need even as high as double the amount that the that the current AIs are set at.
That's right.
It was very fascinating.
Back in 1998, we had limited information. We had only really appreciated how choline was important and that it was essential for maybe 20 years before that at the most. And so what I like is that we're seeing this snowball, I guess, of data coming in, showing how it touches so many facets of human health. And it's so important in early development of the infant and the child that we spent a whole day on that. The data were just very compelling.
Yeah, it was a great day. Joe, we've got some of the top choline scientists from around the world at this symposia speaking. They were all human nutritionists today, so you're the lone animal nutritionist. Did you learn anything that might want to have you do research to make cows smarter?
Oh yeah, so I mean it's a real unique opportunity to hear about the cognitive function and the impact that choline sort of nutrition has on that. And from my perspective, this is something we don't get to talk too much about, but we do think about choline feeding in pregnancy a lot. And there's some new research looking at sort of colostrum production in animals, and I think we need to take that a step further to look at what that impact might have on young animals during their growth phase. It was pretty obvious too when I was here that we talk a lot about pregnant women and that inadequacy in women in general, but the information that was shared in adult men too, there's also a concern that I think often gets overlooked and something we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, well said.
One of the reasons that your data and what you shared with us about cattle production and the need for choline is so striking is when I think back to the human populations, the one group that gets choline adequacy intake are young children. Mm-hmm. And much of that choline is coming from their milk. So the need for choline, in addition to supporting animal health, is also coming in because it is such an important source of choline in our diets.
Yeah, and from my perspective, that's why I was so excited to be around folks, because I think that the urgency to think about choline in foods and how do we promote the intake of those foods, but even within the food themselves, like milk, what can we do at the cow level to provide more choline in the milk is a really exciting opportunity.
Yeah.
Susan, I'm sorry, Tom. I was just going to add real quick that, and this is going to support our dairy industry, but when you said, the kids are getting choline from milk, now that's cow's milk. That
is cow's
That's
milk.
not nut juices.
Yes.
That's cow's milk.
That's right.
So I just want to make sure we got that in there.
Your plant products would have to be fortified
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the other part that was really interesting is when you come back to the considerations for the mother, whether it's the mother cow or the mom, you've really got the circumstance where if the baby can't get it, it's going to demand it through the mom. So mom's choline status really comes down. And I think we hear so much about pregestational diabetes. I almost wonder in the future if we'll know about pregestational non-alcoholic fatty liver disease
Yeah.
during pregnancy. So there's so many interesting things.
Yeah. So you raise a really good point because, in fact, fatty liver disease of pregnancy is a health concern. And so we're very interested in asking that question. The choline is also going to help reduce that risk in the mothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks for joining us today. It's been a great day. Looking forward to day 2 tomorrow. Turn our sights to adults. And so I want to thank you guys for joining us. To our loyal listeners, thank you as well for joining us. I hope you learned something. Hope you had some fun. And we hope to see you next time here at the Real Science Exchange, where it's always happy hour and you're always among friends.